You know, life often hides its most powerful lessons in the places we least expect. Sometimes, it's not the powerful or the wealthy who teach us what humanity really means, it's the quiet figures in the background. And this story, the one you're about to hear, is proof of that. Stay with me until the end, because the twist in what happened that day will change the way you see people forever. It all started in the noisy halls of an international airport. Travelers rushed past each other, announcements boomed through speakers, and the air smelled faintly of coffee and jet fuel. Among the sea of hurried faces was a young woman named Claire. She was exhausted, balancing luggage in one hand and her restless 4-year-old son, Ethan, in the other. Claire had been traveling for work. She was sharp, ambitious, and well put together. But inside, she was tired of juggling too much: her career, her child, and the loneliness she rarely admitted to anyone. On that morning, Ethan was especially cranky. He had missed his nap, his small body was overwhelmed by the chaos around him, and soon enough, tears rolled down his cheeks as he buried his face in his mother's side. Claire tried everything, whispering to him, giving him snacks, distracting him with toys. But nothing worked. Her patience thinned with every second, her nerves tightening like stretched wires. People began to stare, and Claire's face flushed with embarrassment. That's when it happened. An older man in a faded janitor's uniform quietly approached. His name was Thomas. He had been working at the airport for over 20 years, sweeping floors, emptying trash bins, and fixing what was broken. To most, he was invisible. People passed him every day without even noticing, except when they needed him to clean up their mess. But Thomas had something rare: eyes that saw beyond appearances, and a heart that understood pain. He noticed the little boy's cries and the way Claire's shoulders shook with stress. Gently, Thomas crouched down to Ethan's level. His hands, rough from years of labor, rested softly on his knees as he spoke. "Hey, buddy," Thomas said with a warm smile, "you know what I do when I get scared or tired in big places like this? I count the colors around me. Want to try with me?" Ethan sniffled, his big eyes peeking up at the stranger. Thomas pointed to a woman's red coat. "One red, can you find another color?" Ethan hesitated, then whispered, "Blue, that sign is blue." Claire froze. She hadn't asked this man for help, and the sight of a janitor crouching beside her son unsettled her. She felt a flash of judgment. What does he think he's doing? In a moment of frustration and embarrassment, Claire snapped. "Excuse me," she said sharply, her voice cutting through the noise. "I don't need strangers talking to my child. Please step away." Thomas blinked, his kind smile faltering. Slowly, he stood back, nodding respectfully. "Of course, ma'am, I meant no harm," he said softly, before turning away with his mop bucket. But something about the look on his face, gentle, almost apologetic, clung to Claire. For the rest of that morning, she tried to shake it off. She told herself she had done the right thing, protecting her child. And yet, when Ethan finally calmed down, she couldn't stop replaying the moment in her head. Hours passed. Claire and Ethan sat at their gate, waiting for their delayed flight. And then, chaos erupted. An older man across the waiting area suddenly collapsed, clutching his chest. People screamed, others backed away, unsure of what to do. Claire's heart jumped as she covered Ethan's eyes, fear rooting her to the spot. But Thomas, the janitor she had dismissed, was the first to rush forward. Without hesitation, he dropped to his knees beside the man. "Sir, can you hear me?" Thomas shouted. His voice was steady, commanding. And then he began CPR, his hands pumping firmly on the man's chest, his years of experience taking over. Someone yelled for help, another dialed emergency services, but it was Thomas, quiet, unnoticed Thomas, who kept that man alive until paramedics arrived. When the medics finally took over, they confirmed what everyone had just witnessed: Thomas had saved a life. The man would survive because of him. The crowd broke into applause, travelers whispering in awe. And Claire, her throat tight, her cheeks burning with shame, felt something shift deep inside her. She looked at Thomas, sweat on his brow, his uniform wrinkled, his hands trembling slightly from the adrenaline. And for the first time, she saw him. Not as a janitor, not as someone invisible, but as a man of strength, compassion, and courage. She stood, walked slowly over, and said in a voice that quivered, "I'm so sorry. Earlier, I was wrong. You were just trying to help my son. And now, you've saved someone's life. I judged you without knowing you." Thomas looked at her, his tired eyes kind but firm. It's alright, ma'am, we all make mistakes. Sometimes the world teaches us to look down on certain people. But kindness, it doesn't wear a uniform. It lives in actions. Tears welled in Claire's eyes. She reached for Ethan's hand and bent down to whisper, "Sweetheart, do you remember the man who helped you count colors? That's the same man who just saved someone's life." Ethan's little face lit up. "He's a hero, Mommy." Thomas smiled gently, patted the boy's shoulder, and returned to his work. No boasting, no expectation of reward. Just a quiet man, doing what was right. And Claire, that day forever changed the way she saw the world. She promised herself never to judge someone by their job, their clothes, or their place in society again. Because compassion, dignity, and courage can come from anywhere, even from a janitor with a mop bucket. So, the next time you find yourself in an airport, a store, or even just walking down the street, remember this: the people we overlook might just be the ones carrying the greatest lessons. And that, my friends, is why this story matters.